This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Wednesday, February 28th of 2024. We're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, Mark and I are holding down the fort as Dustin and Russ are down in Houston for Commodity Classic. We have today the Iowa Ag News headlines as well as an interview provided to us by our very own Andy Peterson. But for right now, let's take a look at the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're talking with Ross Baldwin of agmarket.net. Ross, on this cold day here in Iowa, tell us a little bit of what we've seen going on in the grain markets today.
Hey, Riley, thanks for having me. We saw corn had a very strong day. It closed in 6 to 7 cents higher. Soybeans were 4 to 5 higher. The wheat market was a little bit of a reversal from yesterday, the last 2 days gains actually across wheat, but wheat closed down anywhere from the back month was only down a few cents to the nearbys were down 8 cents on the May. But corn definitely had the most impressive day here. Today was the first close that corn's had above the 9-day moving average since, I believe, January 30th. So it's been about a month since we've been above the 9-day.
And ever since we saw corn dip into that $3 range, there was a lot of, I'm sure you guys saw a lot of selling off from that. Have we at this point potentially seen, a bit of a low put in or just a potential low put in and then, like you said, with a stronger day, could go up from here?
I would say from a short-term perspective, it sure seems like corn's put a low in here. The funds, keep in mind, as we got below $4 on the front month March, the funds were pushing a record corn short. And so the CFTC data that we'll see this Friday, we'll get to see as of yesterday's close, and that should show a record corn short that the managed money crowd was holding in corn, which, given how overcrowded that trade is for them, it is short-term supportive for corn. So I do think you can see a little bit more of a rally here in the corn market moving forward. Long-term, it's still with the current fundamentals and a 15% stocks use ratio. It's hard to get overly bullish the back end. It's definitely going to take South America and safrinha corn crop problem or a U.S. growing season problem here to really, rally the Dees of 24 contract per se, but it sure feels like you can still see that market put a little bit more on here. Maybe push up. We'd like to see it. Today we're at 464. It doesn't seem out of line. You could see another 20 cents get put on Dees 24.
And then looking at the other side of the ag marketplace with the livestock complex, how have those cattle and hogs been looking so far?
Cattle had it was a rough day of trade across the cattle markets. They've had a dang good rally here. You go back to early December after we had the big sell-offs, September through December, and then early December, we've really been rallying since then. Cash last week was 4 higher. So we've priced a lot of bullish news in. Part of me really thinks what cattle saw today as their long fat cattle, their long feeder cattle, the managed money crowd, it sure seems like you're seeing some month-end profit taking, which is kind of what I think you're seeing in the grain markets here with corn and soybeans as we end the month. And tomorrow will be the last trading day of the month. But live cattle, it's people are looking for cash to stay steady. The Packers have really slowed their throughput here lately, so they've bought some good numbers around them. So people looking for cash to stay steady this week. So we need to see cash probably put another couple bucks on to really spark this market. But overall, from a fundamental perspective, the cattle market is still in good shape, and I expect we can still continue to see fat cattle and feeder cattle futures move higher.
Now, obviously, when we're talking, getting to this point in the year, we're talking grilling season for that kind of uptick in demand, and that's still a little bit of ways. Memorial Day weekend, obviously, a huge time for that grilling season. But as we see, and maybe today's not the best example, but as we see this weather kind of get warmer a bit early, is there any chance we could see that demand uptick kind of arrive earlier and provide some support to the market?
Yeah, I absolutely think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, as the weather warms up, and especially as you're still in winter, and the weather warms up enough, people want to get out and about, and you start talking 70-degree weather like we're going to have here in Iowa. People are going to get out and about, and from a little say short-term blip during winter, it's absolutely a positive for some beef demand right now ahead of grilling season.
All right, Ross, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners and our viewers who'd like to get in touch with the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
You can call me at our office here in Anthon. Our number is 712-373-3276, or you can visit our website, agmarket.net, and find any of the ag market brokers.
And of course, a shout out as well to anybody who is down in Houston for Commodity Classic. Can visit the agmarket.net team down there. Of course, Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network down there, Dustin and Russ having coverage of that show as well. So hopefully if any producers down there, they can bump elbows with everybody. But Ross, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us today. We look forward to getting more analysis from you soon.
Thanks for having me, Riley.
That again was Ross Baldwin of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how those numbers close through the market window at iowaagnet.com.
March corn up 5 even at 4.13 and a quarter. March soybeans up 2 3/4 at 11.34 even. March soybean meal up 3.50 at 3.31.30. Soybean oil down 25 cents at 44.66. Chicago wheat down 15 even at 5.71 even. Kansas City hard red wheat up 2 even at 5.95 and a half. Minneapolis spring wheat down 7 even at 6.51 3/4. March oats up 2 even at 3.75 even. On the Merc, April live cattle down 160 at 186.12. March feeders down 340 at 249.60. April lean hogs up a dime at $86 even. April pork cutout went unchanged at 93.30, and March Class 3 milk up a penny at 17.29.
And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we have a conversation with Andy Peterson as he talks with Mark Foster of AMVAC. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Time now to take a look at the latest Iowa Ag News headlines. The Senate Tuesday confirmed Dr. Basil Goodin as U.S. Department of Agriculture Undersecretary for Rural Development. Dr. Goodin has served as Director of State Operations for Rural Development since July of 2021, in which role he has led and supported USDA's team of 47 rural development state directors who extend USDA state-level leadership and help ensure that the department's investments reach all rural communities. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack says, quote, Dr. Goodin is a true asset at the People's Department, and I look forward to continuing our work advancing and improving policies that benefit agriculture in rural America. House Agriculture Ranking Member David Scott added, quote, Dr. Goodin's extensive experience touches on many issues important to rural communities, including affordable housing, wealth development in distressed communities, and improving infrastructure. Goodin will fill the undersecretary position left vacant by Xochitl Torres Small, who was confirmed in July 2023 as Deputy Secretary of Agriculture. In other news, AMVAC is rolling out a brand new herbicide. Our own Andy Peterson sat down with Mark Foster to discuss Zalo herbicide and the benefits it offers for producers.
Well, let's talk about a new herbicide option for you. Great to hear from our friends at AMVAC as we continue, of course, to, I don't know if struggle is the right word, but be challenged with weed control. Mark Foster with our friends at AMVAC to tell us more here on Iowa Ag Matters and AM/PM today. Mark, how's it going?
Hey, things are great. The weather's starting to look a little bit more like spring.
Absolutely. Starting to feel like we should get in one of those things that's behind you there, the sprayer, and maybe get out in the fields and get some pre-down. So tell us about Zalo. Nothing like this happens quickly, so I'm sure this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, certainly we've been working with the development of Zalo for well over 3 years now, and very excited to be able to launch this new herbicide into the market. Zalo herbicide is the brand name, and it will be available for farmers this upcoming spring.
So tell us a little bit about it and how it's going to fit into our weed management strategy.
Sure. So Zalo is a multi-AI product that will be available to be applied on glufosinate-tolerant canola, cotton, and soybeans. And as you know, there's certainly a high penetration of soybeans, canola, and cotton that contains that trait enablement. This is a broad spectrum, broadleaf, and grass control product. It contains glufosinate that controls broadleaves, very broad spectrum, and then contains two modes of action, both systemic and contact for grass. And that is brought to us by both the quizalofop portion of Zalo as well as the glufosinate portion.
Mhm. Yeah, obviously, soybeans in Iowa is the big one that we talk about. Resistance is a conversation that continues to come up. Availability of herbicides, it seems like with EPA, is something that maybe come up. So it's good to hear about something that is going to be readily available and effective.
Yeah, we're really excited about this product. It can be applied up to two times in crop on soybeans, anywhere from emergence through flowering, and will give growers the opportunity to alter different weed control mechanisms based on the weed species that they're seeing develop within their fields as the growing season continues.
Hmm. I would imagine it tank mixes as well and all of that good stuff.
Absolutely. So the things that we would encourage growers to be looking at is tank mixing with a Group 15 type product with Zalo herbicide. That'll offer growers some residual along with Zalo, which is more of a contact product, allowing growers more opportunity to control weeds longer throughout their growing season.
Hmm. How do we find out more?
Well, so ZaloHerbicide.com is a great place to learn more about the new product and contact your local AMVAC representative or your local AMVAC retailer.
Perfect. Mark, thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and hope everyone's doing well this upcoming spring up in Iowa.
That again was Mark Foster of AMVAC, and thanks, of course, to Andy for providing us that segment today. That's all we have in today's episode of Ag Matters PM. Thanks again for tuning in. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content on our video channel as well as previous episodes of AM/PM. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcasts on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.